Welcome back to another video. Hope you're all keeping safe and well. The final whistle has just gone. Tottenham Hotspur 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0. Goals from Harry Kane and Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg. We hit the woodwork 3 times in the match. Good performances from Dele Alli and Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg. Spurs are now up to 6th in the Premier League, now in a Europa League place. We've got 2 games left in this Premier League campaign. I've got 3 very special guests with me. Craig, a regular on this channel, actor Ricky Norwood, and we have also got Danny, aka The Bun, from In The Box TV. Craig, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on today's game? Much better performance, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, great performance. Got the job done. I thought we looked brighter. I thought the players looked up for it. Everything was about it was a bit quicker than the Leeds game. First to the ball, winning first balls, second balls. Wasn't a perfect performance, and let's face it, they had their chances, but nothing majorly clear cut. I don't think the defence was troubled too much. So yeah, great win, great performance, and I think Europa League is in our hands now, which is great.
Ricky, let's come to you. The last couple of times you've been on, unfortunately, we've lost, and there've been very poor performances. We've had to sit through talking, an hour and a half of just dreadfulness. It's so nice that you're on talking about a win, and it was a decent performance today, wasn't it?
It was a decent performance today. It was nice to have that from the boys. The second half, especially the way we pushed on, the way that we kind of kept the pace up, and we went for it was fantastic. So it was nice to watch. It was definitely nice to watch. It's just a shame that we ain't like fighting for the top 4, or you know what I mean, or all right, we've got Europa League in our hands, but it's just a shame that I wish we was fighting for a bit more this year.
Ricky, it really is, though. These last few games, it is really now this very, very up and down season. It's all about finishing the season on some kind of high and get a European spot of some kind for next year, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in the days of Poch, when he used to speak about like the Gooners and finishing above them, and it almost being like a small team mentality. I mean, that's what we got left now, isn't it? It's like finishing above the Gooners, hopefully finishing above West Ham, and hopefully grabbing a European spot so that we can push on next year, so that we have got something to offer the new manager in terms of ambition, in terms of moving forward. So it was a really good win today, but we need to back it up as always, and we need to keep this going,
Danny, let's come to you. First time on the channel. Welcome. Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on. Your thoughts on today's game?
Yeah, for me today, I just saw it as a professional performance. To be honest, that's all I saw from it. I didn't really see. I'm not going to get my emotions like raised and my height and start the belief again. Like, oh, it looks like it's a lot better now, because realistically, and to be honest, it's not. The first half was shocking. It was so poor. I'm glad they came out the way they did in the second half and they actually attacked the game more. But if you're looking at it from the other point of view, I didn't see enough pressing from Wolves, what you normally see. So I think we had a lot more opportunities, and we had a lot more chances to play around a bit more and have the ball a bit more, because they weren't pressing us as much. But what we did do in that second half, we did play our game a bit better. And what I loved the most out of that game is I saw the fundamentals of football being played, which is pass and move. That's what I saw. And do you know how many times we've seen that this season? We can count how many times we've seen it. It's not enough. And it's like what a footballer is paid to do is paid to pass and move a ball. That is literally what they're paid to do. Professional elite athletes, right? So you want to see that on a regular basis. And I mean, you can accept if a team loses if they do that and they try, but we've seen too many times this season where they haven't. So I'm really happy that they just did that in the second half, and I really hope that the next 2 games they can take that momentum into the last 2 games, hopefully finish in the top 6, get that Europa League spot, because I don't want that Conference League. And hopefully it gives us a good stead to next season.
I know what you're saying, Danny, because, of course, a few weeks ago, beating Sheffield United 4-0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, some fans got carried away thinking, we've got our Tottenham back. We then go to play Leeds United. We lose in the fashion that we didn't really show up, didn't really perform. But, with 2 games left now in the Premier League, we've got to just hope and pray that we just get that Europa League spot, haven't we?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the only thing we can really hope for now. This is the last bit of hope we, as us Spurs fans, have. I mean, we're a very hopeful bunch, we are. But, we've got to hope for this. This is the last thing we can achieve this season. So, yeah, I just don't want the Conference League. I just don't want us to go down as the first team in England to be playing in the Conference League. To be honest,
Yeah,
it's not a record I want to have. To be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Craig, let's come to you. Obviously, the team lineup, Japhet Tanganga come in at right back. When the team lineup come out, what were your thoughts? Let me just go through it. Hugo Lloris in goal, Tanganga at right back, Reguilon at left back, Toby Alderweireld and Eric Dier in the centre, Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg, Dele Alli, Giovanni Lo Celso, and then the forward three again of Gareth Bale, Heung-min Son, Harry Kane. Your thoughts on the starting 11?
Yeah, I thought it was a reasonable starting 11. To be honest, it was good to see Tanganga get a run out. To be fair, Aurier had a strain. I wasn't aware he was injured, but you'd have to think he may well have played Aurier if he'd been fit. Very happy with that front four again. I'm glad there's some consistency there. Whereas if it had been Jose, you can almost bet that he would have dropped Bale. And I thought Bale had a pretty good game today. Grew into the game. But yeah, I was unsure about Lo Celso because I'm still unsure about him as a player. He seems to do some good things, and then I wasn't convinced about him when he came back from injury. I'm still not, if I'm honest, and I'd still like to see Tanguy in there. But on the whole, it was a solid enough lineup, and I'm glad. I'll say with the consistency, even Toby and Dier had a couple of moments there, but perhaps goes to show that not changing it all the time can reap its rewards and get a settled back four, or as many of them as you can, at least certainly the centre back pairing, and you got a chance to build a solid foundation of a defence there that understands each other. I think is one of the main things there. But yeah, I think it was a pretty good starting 11, and everybody seems a bit happier than they did.
Craig, a lot of Tottenham fans seem to be very concerned at the moment that Tanguy Ndombele is not getting in the starting 11 under Ryan Mason. And when you look back and see like Ndombele and Lo Celso, who of course started again today, they very rarely complete 90 minutes.
Yeah. That is strange about Lo Celso not completing 90 minutes. Yeah, you could. I know Tanguy did do a couple of 90 minutes when he was playing a bit more regularly. I don't know. Perhaps it comes back to this fitness thing again, that the players just aren't as fit as they used to be in the centre midfield. The engine room, essentially does the most running, and perhaps he hasn't got 90 minutes in the tank. I don't know. And why, you have to trust Ryan Mason in that he must be seeing something in the training that he doesn't like in Ndombele. I think they said in the commentary, perhaps if you're looking to move the ball fast, I think it was, I can't remember who said it, might have been Gary Neville, but said, if you're looking to move the ball quickly, 1-2 touch, he's not that kind of player, and Lo Celso perhaps is to a certain degree. But yeah, it's just good to have a positive outcome, Chris, and come on here with a smile on my face, if I'm honest. So, So yeah, that's the difference for me. That we've actually, it is amazing though that you go back to August and you think, if you'd said to me that come May, I'd be pleased that we've got Europa League chances in our own hands, and that's the only thing. It's weird, isn't it? It's kind of sad reality, but that's where we are, and that's all we can deal with. So let's try and get fifth. But if we can get a good result in the week against Villa, then I would hope that Leicester have perhaps qualified and they'll give us a bit of an easier ride on Sunday. And then let's get this season out of our systems over and done with and hope for a good transfer window.
Exactly, yeah. Hopefully we'll just get over that line and get that European spot. Ricky, let's come to you. Dele Alli made his 5th start in the Premier League this season. We're finally seeing the glimpses of the old Dele Alli, aren't we?
Oh, definitely, man. It was nice to see him nutmeg. I can't remember who it was, but he definitely had that nutmeg and that run towards goal, and then it came off the defender, but Dier went for it. It was nice to see that. It was nice to see him bouncing around. It was nice to see him active and wanting it, and maybe he's had this new lease of life under Mason for him to go and express himself, But yeah, it's definitely nice to see him bubbling about. We all know as Tottenham fans what Dele can bring to the table, and when he's good, he's phenomenal, So it was nice to see him out there. Long may it continue. Long may it kind of keep building and like his confidence and his want to kind of express himself. Let's keep that building up and let's see what happens.
Ricky, talking about Tanguy Ndombele, do you see him being a Tottenham Hotspur player next season? Because, of course, in the last week or so, he's put on Instagram this egg timer, showing that, it's something to do with time. Do you see him being a Spurs player? Of course, he's not getting that much game time under Ryan Mason. Still contracted to the club, obviously. But do you think that he will be there next year under a new boss?
I would love him to be there. So the season that we signed him, I think we signed him and Lo Celso at the same time in that same summer window. And if we only, I've said this a couple of times, but if we only signed one person that summer, it would have been him. It was always going to take him a period of time to adjust to, firstly, Poch's training techniques, double training sessions and stuff like that, compared to where he was in France. And it was also going to take him a while to get used to the pace of the Premiership. I think the change in manager kind of, it sent him back a bit, and then he's had to prove himself again. But I find it very, very similar to Moussa Dembele. When he first came in, fantastic energy, fantastic ability when he first came in from Fulham. We didn't know where to play him, as number 10 or in the middle, but he didn't really have a clear direction until Poch turned up. And when Poch turned up and gave him, like, this is what I want you to do. I want you to break up play. I want you to hold it. I want you to, protect the back four and give it to the playmaker, give it to Eriksen, or give it to Dele, or give it to somebody that can move the ball forward. We saw a change in Moussa, and we saw him become the player that we all wanted him to be. We always heard of those stories in training. If anybody's asked from the team who's the most skillful, who's one of the best players that you played against, all of the teams say Moussa Dembele. And I think what Tanguy needs is a manager that understands him and that gives him a mission, that gives him a purpose of play. And then we'll see the best out of him. I would love him to still be here next year. Who knows what's going to happen next year? We don't know whether Harry's going to be here next year or Sonny or whoever. We ain't got a clue. I would love him to be there next year. I would love him to have a manager that understood him and kind of, like I say, gave him that mission, gave him that focus, gave him a role in which he can understand and fulfill, and would see the best out of him. I really wanted him to start today. I don't know why he hasn't started under Mason, but I would have done it the other way round. Do you know what I mean? I would have started Tanguy, and then if he was flagging at 60, 65, 70, then bring on Lo Celso and have that energy, do you know what I mean, to try and burst the lines against Wolves and try and disrupt them that way. But it's not to be right now. I've got my fingers crossed for him because I think he's phenomenal. I don't know whether you remember the game that he played. I think it was for Lyon. He was playing for Lyon, right? Was it Lyon?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he played Lyon. He's playing for Lyon against Man City. This is before we signed him in the Champions League, and he totally destroyed Man City by himself. And we know that that's in him. He's young enough. He's got the ability. There's a lot within those calf muscles of his. So I just think we need a strong manager that comes in and knows what he wants from Tanguy and trusts him. And I think we'll get that.
Danny, let's come to you. Obviously, we've got the win today. We're all smiling about it. But the starting 11, is that Tottenham's best starting 11? Under Ryan Mason, because he seems to be sticking to the same players every week now, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think it goes to kind of what Craig was saying. I think he's just trying to look for consistency now till the end of the season, just because it's the best thing for this team right now. You don't want to keep chopping and changing everyone. If you're asking if that's the best sort of first 11 out there, it's debatable. I mean, I agree with what Ricky said. I'd rather have Ndombele starting than having Lo Celso start, because Lo Celso this week, he's gone from last week. He's learned something. He's learned from running off the pitch to kicking it off the pitch instead. So he's learned one thing. And for me, he just doesn't look the same player like from the back end of last season when he was probably one of our best players. And I don't know what it is. I know whether it's the injury, whether it's a change of manager, whether it's he hasn't been able to get up to that full match fitness. From what I see in him, it just looks like he hasn't got that full match fitness. So yeah, I'd rather start Ndombele. And again with Dier, I mean, for me, I want him gone. I really want him gone. He had a decent game today. I'm not gonna lie, he had a decent game, but he's cost us so much this season, and I would have rather started Rodon, to be honest. I mean, if they are gonna sell Dier, why would you keep him? The only thing I can think of, which is why they're playing him, is because the decision is not coming from Mason, it's coming from above him, and they're trying to get him to play to show, maybe try and get his price up maybe a bit in the market. I mean, that's a conspiracy, that's my opinion, but I just can't see any other reason why you would play Dier, because before Mason came in, Rodon had played a couple of really good games. He's one of our best defenders. And then all of a sudden Mason comes in and Dier's back in the squad. So, and then Ndombele's dropped. It just doesn't add up. And then, and Dele Alli's come back in, which, yeah, I mean, Dele Alli, again, he's another one which I'm not, I was a massive fan of Dele Alli, but for me, again, yeah, he had a good game today. I'm not going to lie, he did have a good game. But what I see in Dele Alli, right, is for me, I see someone who's with at the back end of Pochettino. He's kind of didn't play how he should be playing. He's kind of, in a sense, down tools. Then with Mourinho, who did give him chances. I know not enough, but he did give him chances. He just wasn't very good at all. He just looks like his head's elsewhere. And then all of a sudden, Mason's come in and he started to play a little bit. He's given a bit more chances. And for me, that's a player who doesn't want to play for the badge. I personally think that Dele Alli, he's lost his fire in his belly. He's lost his determination, his drive to be like a really good player. And I think he doesn't have that professionalism that, say, someone like Harry Kane does. Because I tell you this now, if he had that professionalism that Kane had, he would be one of the best young midfielders in the world still. He would still be there if he had that sort of motivation and drive. And for me, he was good today, but to be honest, I don't really want to see him there next season, if I'm really honest.
Wow. Okay, we'll come on more about that, Danny, in a minute. Just want to ask you, Danny, about Joe Rodon. Why do you think that Joe Rodon is not in the squad at the moment under Ryan Mason?
It's tough. Do you know what? It's probably the one thing I really cannot understand. I just don't understand it. I think it's something to do with the way Dier's been picked, because, I mean, based on last week's performance, I mean, that goal that we conceded, the first goal, I mean, all he had to do was put his leg across the ball and literally smash it out. Like any centre-back, who've got like centre-back abilities and positional awareness that would just kick it out. And he just let the ball run across him again. And we've seen it time and time again this season. And I've just got no idea why Rodon's not playing. And the weird thing is, right, is the fact that Mason came out and was actually praising Rodon and saying like he's doing well in training and this and that. And then he's out of the squad. Like it baffles me. It really baffles me. I just think there's some sort of other motive going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, which is why Dier's playing, if you ask me.
Craig, let's come to you. Danny says there about Dele Alli. You know, the fans are very divided on Dele Alli, aren't they? You know, personally, for me, I love seeing Dele Alli in the sort of form that he was today. You know, this is the Dele Alli of old. This is exactly what all of us fans want to see. Do you see that he will be at the club next season? You know, if Pochettino comes in again for him at PSG, do you see him leaving?
I don't know. You know, I think it does. A lot hinges on this new manager, doesn't it? And I personally want to see Dele Alli at the club next year. I'm not in that camp. I think there's still a player in Dele Alli, and I think when you've got a happy Dele Alli, you've got a good player. Much the same as Gareth Bale, and you could name, you know, a host of other players in there. You know, it stands to reason in any walk of life. If you're happy in your job and you like the people you're working with, you're going to perform better. And I just think with Dele, he's been given his chance. I thought he was really good today. I thought he was unlucky not to get the man of the match. I've no idea how Connor Cody got it. How can you give man of the match to somebody who's conceded 2 goals? I don't understand that.
I thought it was Hojbjerg that got it.
Nah.
No, I think it was Connor Cody. No,
really?
No,
oh my God!
Yeah.
Who made that?
Gary Neville. Gary Neville.
Of course. Yeah.
He did say, I'll get. I don't think he could be bothered to choose it today by the sound of it, which was quite funny. He said, I'll probably get pelters all the way back to Manchester on the train. So I don't think he cares today. But yeah, I thought Dele Alli, if you was asking my man of the match, I thought Dele Alli's name's got to be up there. But whether he'll go, I genuinely think, Chris, it depends on what manager we get in. You know, that shortlist seems to be getting shorter by the sound of it. I know I've seen Alistair Gold's kind of batted away a few names that he's aware of. I've got my own thoughts who I'd want. I'm sure every other fan has. So unless there's something going on behind the scenes, I just can't see it being announced anytime soon, because you usually get a little bit drip fed through, don't you? And there's just nothing out there, is there? So yeah, I would hope it's announced before the Euros start. Anyway, I mean, God, I hope we've got somebody in before then.
Yeah, same here.
Well, that'll certainly be interesting. We will come on to that later on in the show, talking about possible new managers. Let's get back into the game. Ricky, let's come to you. In the 5th minute, Harry Kane hit the post, turns, shot from range, hit the post. Chance come out of nothing. What more can we say about Harry Kane? You know, when he's creating chances for himself like that, simply superb, isn't he?
He's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. He's off the charts. He's definitely Captain Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? I know there's Captain America, but he's definitely Captain Tottenham. Do you know? Because he is one of those players that does take it by the scruff of the neck, and whether he's defending or whether he's battling in midfield or whether he's scoring great goals like that today, he does it all. You know, it's not just the staying on side for me that was fantastic. It's the way that he moved it away from the second challenge from Cody. You know, so there was almost like a slide challenge that Cody came in for, and he took it away from him and then slotted it in. And I was just like, for him to see that in the amount of time, in the split seconds that he had there, and to finish it, fantastic, man.
That's instinct, isn't it? That's literally instinct. It's composure at its finest.
Instinct, composure, yeah. I mean, you know, we've seen a lot of Man United fans praise Cavani for his movement and his timing. But, you know, Harry Kane is the same in the sense that he can... It's almost like he sees it in slow motion. Like he's so far ahead that he's seeing what's happening in slow motion. And, yeah, again, man, you know, how much more can we say about Harry, man? He's the man, and he does it every single time, you know? So, but you know what? Let me just jump on... you know, we were just chatting about Dele just a second ago there. You know, I think psychology comes into it. I think, like, if we take it away from football for a minute, if you was in your daily work, whatever that may be, and you was hitting the, you know, let's say you're a sales rep, and you was hitting every, you know, top number every year for the first 3 years of your contract, and then the 4th year the management changed, and then, you know, like, because when Mourinho came in, Dele started banging goals. You know, Dele was banging a couple of goals when he first came in. So then you've got this, you're starting to bang goals again. You're starting to be trusted by the new management. And then one thing happens and then you're dismissed, you know? So I think with him being young, and I'm not saying egocentric, but he's got a little ego in there as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that hurt him. And then, you know, sometimes you're like, well, why am I bothering? You know, you know, I've done, you know, I was at the top of the charts for the last 3 years. Then there's been a change, and then suddenly, what? You don't trust me now. So what am I bothering for? And not that is the right attitude, because we see that, you know, in comparison with Harry Kane, he always comes with the professional attitude. He always comes with his head on, and he does play for the shirt and the badge. But maybe maybe Dele's had that bit of a wobble where he's been disillusioned of who he is and how he's being looked at. And sometimes maybe he just threw up his arms, you know. I'm just hoping to see him bounce around the field like he did today and nutmeg a few players today. Like, I'm hoping that, you know, the best is yet to come for him. And I would hate to see the best of Dele playing for somebody else.
Yeah, I think... Can I add something there, Chris, if that's all right?
Yeah, go for it, yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with completely what you said, Ricky. Everything you said is bang on. And I think all of us can all speak, like, we can all agree that we all want to see Dele Alli back to his best, because we all know how good of a player he can be. It's just, I think I do agree with you. There's some sort of psychological thing there behind him. I think he's one of these players you really need to put your arm around through the good times and the bad times, whenever he's underperforming. And I think what I saw at the back end of Poch's tenure, right, I didn't just see it with him, but I saw it with a lot of players, because what Poch used to do is he was so good at uniting everyone, like from the staff to everyone within the club, right? He created this like family feel. And I think everyone loved it. And he put his arm around everyone, like including the kit men, the people who cut the grass at the pitch and the training ground. And when Poch got to that stage where he just felt like you could see, he felt like he'd done it all he could. I think that's when there was a disconnect between him and then the club itself. And I think that's when a lot of players felt it themselves, and that's when they started underperforming, and they weren't giving as much as they could have done if he was the same person he was before the Champions League final, say, or the year before that. So I think Dele Alli, he does need the right person to get it out of him. I just get that feeling. I know what Ricky was saying. I just get that feeling that he should at least try give some more, because for me, I did see a change when he did, because when Dele Alli first came to Tottenham, right, he was this youngster that it was only in lower divisions, and he was a massive step up, and he had something to prove, and like no one really knew what his ability was like, and he just came out of the blocks like guns blazing, like this kid had no one ever seen someone with such raw talent before. And he was just breaking all sorts of records. And then, yeah, I think he got to the point where he's just got so high so quickly in terms of his status, and like being from being a player in like the Division 1, League 1, to starting in a Premier League team for Tottenham, challenging for top 4. Like, it's a huge thing. And I think for him, he just needs to find that sort of I think he just needs to find that fire again. And I think, yeah, I do think he needs the right person to do it. It's just, I wish he could just push himself more, like, without someone telling him how to do it. Because at the end of the day, he is getting paid a lot of money by the club, and he should be motivating himself within to play for the badge. And I just haven't seen that enough in the last sort of 2 years or so.
Danny, you actually took the words out of my mouth before you said that, because you know, when you saw his relationship with Pochettino, Dele Alli saying that Pochettino was like a father figure, constantly had his arm around him, constantly, you know, really good with him, like a father figure. And then Jose Mourinho coming, very different management style. Now with Ryan Mason coming in now as interim boss, and of course Dele Alli is now in the starting 11. You know, it seems like every week under Ryan Mason. Do you think it's helping Dele Alli, the fact that Ryan Mason is a very good friend? Because some fans are very critical about Ryan Mason being a friend of the likes of Harry Kane and Dele Alli. But surely it's helping the likes of Dele Alli now, isn't it?
Yeah, for 1,000,000%. I mean, I think there's a few players in that team is probably helping. It might be one of the reasons why Dier's playing, to be honest, because I think obviously Mason can see what he's done and what he's like. And I can't remember if he actually played with him. Yeah, I just think it's a massive reason why I think he's starting to play a bit better, because he is like a friend. He is a mate to him. I mean, they played together. So, yeah, I mean, I just hope that whoever comes in next is going to, if they don't sell him, I mean, personally, I don't think Levy is going to let him go, because right now his market value is nowhere near what it has been. And I think Daniel Levy, he's got a sentimental attachment to players. He had it with Ericsson. He's had it with quite a few players. He has it with Gareth Bale, and they've got it with Dele Alli as well. And he knows that if Dele Alli he knows what his abilities like. And if someone can get Dele Alli playing to that level again, it's not just going to be good for Tottenham, but it's also going to be good for what his value is. Because then if someone was to come in for him, then his selling fee would be a lot higher than what it is right now. If you look at what Dele Alli is probably worth in this market, in this climate right now, you'd probably say 25 million, maybe 30 million, pushing it, in terms of his form and also how the climate is right now. But yeah, it's a big reason, I think, Mason being there is why he's performing like a lot better than how he has been, and showing the glimpses of the old Dele Alli.
Yeah, absolutely. Craig, let's come to you. Roy Price writes on screen now, it's so frustrating. We could have easily been in the top 4 this season. We need to keep all of our offensive players. It is frustrating, isn't it? This season, you know, a lot of us can't wait until this season is actually over and just get us over that line, get European football, sort the manager out, you know, have a clear out, get new players in. This summer is huge, isn't it? But this season has been so up and down.
It's been draining, isn't it? And I think the ability, you know, I'm not a season ticket holder, but I try to get to as many games as possible. But it's just been draining. It's almost like you can't even get to the ground to cheer them on or voice your opinion about anything. And it's like you kind of feel a bit detached from it all. And it's just been draining for all the fans, I think, this whole season. And you're right. You know, if we'd actually kept the lead in all the games we've been in front this season, we'd have been second. Yeah. And Manchester City wouldn't have won the league yet. I know that's a big ask, but you know, we'd have been second in the league. So that it shows you, are we that far away? I know that might sound too optimistic, but are we that far away? Really, when you look at that, we've taken the lead in all those games. What does that say to you? Does it say that the defence isn't good enough? I think we'd all agree it probably isn't. But, is the defence not good enough to hold on to the lead? Back in the day, I hate to mention that lot down the road, but when Arsenal went 1-0 up, that was kind of it, wasn't it, in the season when they did so well? And, we're nowhere near that level, the defence. But, we've shown we can score goals, and we have scored a hell of a lot of goals this season. And going back to the fella said there on the screen, we need to keep all our offensive players. We need to keep Son, in my opinion. We need to keep Harry Kane, we need to keep Ali, and we certainly need to keep Bale for another season. Because I don't think, I've said it before in here, I don't think you're going to get a player of the level of Gareth Bale for the amount of money you're going to pay. If you see what I'm saying, the loan fee, I don't know if there's going to be a loan fee. I can't imagine there will be. We just pay his wages. Where else are you going to get a player of that level for that amount of money, total net spend? You're not going to. So anybody who says, I'll send him back to Madrid, you're mad. I'm sorry. We need to keep Bale for another season. Because of that, what I've just said there. So I wouldn't say we certainly need to clear out in the summer. We certainly need to clear out and get rid of the players, but it's all dependent on what manager comes in, and he's going to have the final say. We can sit on here and say, "Oh, he's crap. We want to get rid of him." It's that new manager. He's going to have to look at that squad and say, "Right, I want him gone."
Well, that's has the final say of what players that are coming in, because it seems now we're being linked with players. We're trying to do deals for players. We haven't even got a manager.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I think with that, if you get a real superstar, a real top quality guy that I think any manager in the world would be mad not to put in their starting 11, I would say even at the moment you got to get him. But if you're buying players that are perhaps squad players that are tailored towards a certain manager type, then that manager's surely got to have a say in it. I'm a bit old school like that. I think the manager should say, I want this player, I don't want this player, and I don't want this player in my squad. Because if you're any other walk of life, if you're choosing your staff and you're interviewing them essentially in any other walk of life, you're making the decision, and it's based on ability, it's based on performance, how they come across in the interview, and what you think they can bring to your team. If you've got somebody else making that decision for you, then it's not going to always work, is it? Yeah, it might not always work if you do the interview and you choose that person. But at least I think you've got a better handle on if that person is going to fit in. And the squad is like the family that Pochettino always spoke about, isn't it? You've got a gel. And we did gel a few years ago. And it's just been, the certain players of that family, if you like, have just been going away and not wanting to be part of that family, and it's been cracking. There's cracks appeared when Ericsson went, when Walker went, and Dembele. That's the three keys for me, and we've not replaced them. We've never replaced them. So key areas, key players. And yes, in my opinion, the new manager needs to choose his players. But in answer to your question, Chris, no, I don't think, sadly. I think Daniel Levy does get involved a bit too much, and perhaps that's what he's got to do, not get involved as much. Let the manager do it and stand back and do the stuff he is good at, which is the stuff where he's given us the stadium and the training ground. 100%. He's the best man for the job for that. But on the field, not convinced with Daniel Levy. I think he should stick to what he's good at.
Yeah. Let's get back to the game. Talk about Tottenham's second goal. All season it's been like we need to just put games to bed. We had chance after chance after chance. Finally got our second goal in the 62nd minute. Hojbjerg finished it off, but fantastic work from Sergio Reguilon. And this is the sort of football that we want to see Tottenham play, and this is exactly what we want to see from the likes of Sergio Reguilon that we saw at the start of the season. Ricky, talk us through that second goal.
Oh, mate, do you know what? Like, Reggie done so well, bro. Not just to keep the ball alive, but when he lost it, to slide tackle, to get back up, to keep it going, to run on, and then to find the man as well with the pass. Because there's been a couple of weeks where he hasn't been able to find that man, Reguilon's got a ton of ability. I think he's the flying fullback that we've been after, to replace somebody like Rose. It was great to see him show up and kind of do that. I mean, he had a chance for a goal as well that got saved by Rui Patricio. and I think he was unlucky not to have scored that. But as well as him flying on the left-hand side and setting that whole run of play up, I thought Tanganga done fantastic as well at right back. Not only to cover Bale, you know, when he's moving forward, but also like offensively and defensively, it was nice to see Tanganga do that job, you know. So it was nice from both fullbacks today that they again have been given a bit of direction and a mission, and they both fulfilled that today, I feel. I think Reguilon, his first season in the Premiership, his first season here, you've seen him a couple of times. I mean, even in his very, very first game, you saw him almost trying too hard. I remember there was a sliding tackle where he missed the guy, but the slide carried on halfway up the pitch. And he's starting to rein that in a little bit. He's starting to time it a little bit more. And him being young, he's going to make mistakes, you know, he's going to. But as long as he learns from them and can build upon those performances, then I think there's a great player in there as well. And again, so, you know, I hope that he takes this forward. I hope that he not only takes the defensive duties forward, but these offensive duties forward. You know, I don't think...
He done well against Traore, Ricky.
Say it again, mate?
Yeah. He done well against Traore, I thought, Rick, didn't he?
Yeah.
Really, you know? Yeah, he's a danger. Yeah.
Absolutely. And how many times have the back four panicked when anybody runs at them? Not just Traore, but anyone. That's what any other team have to do is run at us. Yeah. And you'll see the two centre backs suddenly their heads are swerving, they don't know who to look at. Yeah. And then whatever right back or whatever left back's trying to come in to cover, and then it just leaves gaps and spaces everywhere, and we end up conceding anyway. You know, so it was great to see him battling against Traore. But like, I don't think so. I mean, Davies, as solid as he is, I don't think he would have been able to do what Reggie done today. Do you know what I mean? And set up the goal the way that he did.
Yeah.
This is exactly the Sergio Reguilon we want to see, though, Ricky, isn't it? Because earlier on in the season he was doing it, and then he wasn't going forward as much and attacking as much and putting those crosses in. We've all seen what he can do when he's putting crosses in for the likes of Harry Kane. But let's talk a little bit about Japhet Tanganga coming in as right back. Surely Matt Doherty must be thinking, am I going to be playing another game for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club? Because, you know, he's a recognised right back. Japhet Tanganga, you know, he's a recognised centre back. But they prefer to play him at right back than the former Wolves man. Do you think that his days are numbered, Ricky?
Do you know what? If I was Levy next year, and we know Levy deals with the transfers, as we was just saying there, but I would probably stick Doherty in for a swap plus money for Max Aarons. You know, so you know, it's unfortunate. I thought that Doherty would come in and be a kind of Stevie Carl regen. You know, see a flying right back up, see some crosses. It's been very nervy from him, and he seems very easy to turn. And once you turn him, it seems like he has two big breaths, right? And he's like, and then he starts running to kind of try and track back. But by that time, whoever it is that's gone past him is already in the final third, and they're already attacking us, you know, and we're already in trouble. So it's really tough. I don't think we've seen anything close to the best of what Doherty can bring. We know he started off as a right wing back, and he's found it a bit of a struggle to adapt to right back. But again, I think that's down to managers and tactics. What you just saying there about Reggie, you know. So, you know, when we was conceding late goals, maybe it was Mourinho and the coaching team at the time that was like, don't cross the halfway line. You know, try and keep us solid. Try and keep the line. And maybe that's why we've seen indifferent performances from Reggie. On Doherty's front, I don't know, mate. You know, he was 28 when we signed him, so he's 28 this year. Maybe he's just somebody to kind of he's a recognised right back to kind of stopgap or to help Tanganga develop as a right back. I know you were saying Mourinho Tanganga's seen as a centre back, but Mourinho said that he saw him as a right back. So
yeah, I don't agree with that though. I mean, I don't know if whoever agrees with it, but the reason why Mourinho said that is because he's got this silly philosophy in his head where a centre back needs to be 6'3" or 6'4". He needs to be built and he needs to be able to head the ball out. But look at one of the best centre backs of who won a Ballon d'Or, and that's Cannavaro, and he was what, 5'9".
yeah.
So you don't need to be tall to be a good centre back. If you've got the jump, you've got the awareness, you could be a top centre back. And I just think that silly thing he said about him not being a right back was one of the things I really hated. Him not being a centre back, sorry, I really just did not agree with.
Wasn't Tanganga's first game against Liverpool?
Yeah, right back.
He played, I thought he was tremendous. Like, I thought
was it
really
right back or
good.
centre back? Was it right
He
back?
played centre back.
It was centre back. Yeah.
He played centre back that game, and then in the Middlesbrough FA Cup game, he played at right back.
Right back, yeah.
They've had him play alongside the back four, but the reason why I said centre back, Ricky, is I've seen him play many times in youth teams and under 23s. He's always been seen as a centre back. I know some players change their positions during their career, but always been seen as a centre back. But I just thought that when you see the likes of Matt Doherty on the bench, he must be just thinking, how is this kid getting in front of me before me starting, because he hasn't played that many games lately, Doherty. Danny, let's come to you.
But to tell you the truth, Chris, if it was me, I would probably pick Tanganga over Doherty.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I would too. I
don't think anyone's going to argue with that.
Mason's the same, maybe Mason's doing it in training. And I know what you're saying there about Mason and him picking his mates, but sometimes you need players that you can trust, right?
Yeah.
And this is what I was saying about Mourinho. Mourinho needed a couple of more players that he could trust and that loved Mourinho. We can see that in Hojbjerg. Hojbjerg trusted Mourinho and he loved him, and so he would do anything that was asked of him. And you see, like, he's been the difference in our midfield this season. Like, the performances that he's come out with, and like a couple of goals he scored today. Yeah. But he's been tremendous, and maybe Mason is kind of looked inside or looked at training and gone, well, not only are these guys busting a sweat for me in training, but they're going to go out there and perform. So it's hard for us to really criticize when we've won 2-0 today as well. Yeah.
There's no criticism from me today.
We've got a bit of criticism. We're Tottenham, man.
We always do. We always do. I can never go away.
What, though, Ricky? When we've done these shows recently and there's been so much negativity, I'm going to try and eke out every single bit of positivity from each one of you in this video. Danny, let's come to you. Let's talk about another positive thing today, a clean sheet. Our defence didn't have that much to do, but another clean sheet today, and Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg was exceptional again today.
My man of the match today, by far. He had a hand in both goals. He scored one himself, and just his work rate in the middle today, he was just everywhere. He was brilliant. For me, hands down, man of the match. I think if he wasn't there, it would have been a very different game today. I'll tell you that, a completely different game.
He's transformed our defence, hasn't he? Jose Mourinho put Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg out as one of the Tottenham Hotspur leaders, and I can just see Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg in future being Tottenham Hotspur captain. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, completely. I mean, if it was up to me, I would put him as my captain next season. I really would. I genuinely would, because I don't like this thing about captains being a striker or a goalkeeper, because they're either end of the pitch, so you can't get your word across to both sides of the pitch. For me, a captain's always got to be someone central so they can speak to everyone, communicate with everyone. And someone like Hojbjerg, the way he is, the way how animated he is, and how much of a leader he is on the pitch, he will be telling everyone what to do. And if you've got the right manager for the players and they've got the fitness levels, they'll do what he's going to say. And for me, I would have him as my captain, if I'm honest. Even more than Harry Kane. And as much as I love Harry Kane, and I think he's just the GOAT of Spurs, I would have Hojbjerg as my captain.
Danny, Spurs are now up to 6th in the Premier League. We're sitting in the Europa League place. We've got 2 games left. How confident are you feeling that Tottenham will get this job done and we will get in the Europa League for next season?
If I'm honest, Chris, I'm on the fence with it. I'm honestly, because do you know what it is, right? We us Tottenham fans, we build this hope up and we get so happy about it, like we're gonna do it, and then it's the hope that kills us, because then, like, all of a sudden, out of the blue, they just just do something to really bottle it again, or they do something to just, oh, yep, that's our Spurs. Yep, we're back again. So for me, just for my own sanity and my own mental health, I'm not gonna let it get to that level, and I'm gonna keep it on the fence, right? Because I can't do it to myself anymore. I've had enough. I've just done it too much, right? And like Craig said earlier on, right? It's our emotions this season have been like this and like this and like this every week. It's like up and down, up and down, up and down. It's like a wave. It's like you could have surfed the wave, literally, like honestly. And yeah, I'm gonna keep composed. I'm gonna keep my sanity levels down, and I'm gonna say, look, if we do it, great. If we don't, then I kind of expected it. So yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if we get the two more wins. Ideally, you'd like Leicester to kind of seal it, a Champions League spot in their next game. If they win their next game, then they've kind of sealed it. And then it gives us a bit more of a chance to beat them in the last game and seal that top 6. But yeah, I'm going to be very sort of on the fence with it, to be honest, because I know how much this team has let us down, not just this year, but in the past couple of years, really. Last 18 months, we've had Jose there and the back end of Poch's as tenure. So yeah, I'm gonna sit on that fence.
Well, interestingly, Spurs have gone up to 6th. Liverpool are 5th, just 1 point ahead of us. And they have just gone 1-0 down at West Bromwich Albion through a Robson Canu goal. Unbelievable.
Oh, brilliant.
Craig, let's come to you. You know, Tottenham are up to 6th. We're in the Europa League place. Are you feeling confident for European football next season?
Do you know what I am actually now? Yeah, I am. But do you know what's mad? This is mental. Imagine if by some chance we was to get top 4, Chelsea drop out of the top 4, lose the Champions League final. We've actually had a better season than them. That is laughable.
I don't.
That is laughable.
If that was to happen, oh, I don't know how I'd react.
Honestly, but you know, Chelsea could still end up with nothing, and they could drop out the top 4. Not to us, obviously. I don't think that is going to happen. But you know, so that means Chelsea won nothing.
Danny said earlier, Craig, don't get carried away. We've won 2-0 today. Don't get carried away. And you're getting completely carried away.
Hang on, Chris. You asked me to be positive. I can't be more positive than that. So
he's Tottenham through and through. That's why.
That's it. I can't remember what the question. What was the question, Chris, about European football? Yeah, I do think we're going to get Europa League. I think we're going to probably finish 6th. I think we will have it in the bag. I think we'll beat Villa in the week, and then it probably still come down to the Leicester game. I totally agree with what Danny said. I think I do not want that conference. When the commentator today said 2 of the teams taking part in it, that was like, I'm sure they play in the Chelmsford local league. My son plays in, Chris.
Moldovan league.
Watched the other week. It was just, I thought, Christ almighty, you know, you're going to be going into worse places than you even go to Europa League. Can you imagine? So, yeah, I think we will get it. Do you know what? I think it's actually very important we get Europa League. I really do. Definitely. Because, you know, to keep hold of the players that might be having an hour in. I think Harry Kane, it might help him stay even if we get Europa. I know that sounds daft, but can you imagine not having any European football and trying to give it all to Harry Kane? It's going to be a lot difficult, isn't it? Yeah. So it's important we get it, and I hope we do, and I think we will.
Alex writes on screen now, 24 shots, 13 on target. That is a very different Tottenham team today, Ricky, isn't it? Very different performance.
Absolutely. I mean, it's what we've been all waiting for. You know, we know how offensive we can be, and we know once. I always mention Poch because I love him, but you know, under him, when you saw the press, when you saw the pace, when you saw the aggressiveness of our attack, we frightened oppositions. You know, and we gave them more to think about, and it was nice today that we had another glimpse of that against Sheffield United the other week. Again, it was just nice to kind of see a dominant performance and 4 great goals, you know. And today it was good too. But there was part of me that felt every time that they broke that there could have been panic stations and we could have been in trouble a little bit, you know. That's more to do with this season and how it's been a roller coaster season. But it was, and that's more to do with the second half as well. It was great to see them shots. It was great to see us peppering the goal and, you know, being more offensive and being more aggressive in their final third and kind of letting them worry about us. That's probably why Connor Cody got the man of the match, is because he had so much to deal with. You know, he had to block, he had to head, he had to last minute tackles and stuff like that. And that's because we troubled them and we made them panic and think about what we could kind of, you know, us scoring rather than it be kind of just, you know, pass and try a shot, you know, or we've been struggling to shoot in some games as well. So today was a breath of fresh air, but again, it's all about building on that and taking it into Villa and taking it into the last game of the season against Leicester and then seeing what happens, you know?
Well, David writes on screen now, Ricky. Sorry, but I can see us slipping up against Aston Villa. It's in our blood, sadly. Let's face it, the first half wasn't that good today. How confident are you feeling for these remaining 2 games? Because as I said earlier, this season has been so up and down. All of us Tottenham fans always say, "Oh, if we win today, we can do this, and if we win today, we can do that." And you know, half the time it doesn't. Well, more than half the time it doesn't work out. Aston Villa at home, Leicester City away, and dare I say it, the Leicester City away game is probably going to be the game where they're parading their FA Cup triumph in front of their fans.
Well, you know what? The Leicester City game, maybe they'll take their eye off the ball in that sense, in like they've achieved the FA Cup and they've achieved top 4. So maybe they take the eye off the ball. But many a time that we've faced Leicester in the last couple of weeks of the season, we've done pretty well. I think I can't remember what it was last year, but maybe I remember when did Harry score 4? I remember Harry scoring 4 against Leicester.
It's always been a fixture that has produced so many goals.
Yeah.
So I would see it. I would see us going for it again because we've got something to play for. Villa is a tough one because they're not gonna sit back as much. You know, there are going to be more runners than Traore. You know, Traore was the only runner today against our defense. And I think that they're going to have a few more. You know, they've got El Ghazi and Grealish was on the bench. I don't know whether he came on yesterday, but I'm sure they'll probably give him some minutes against us. So there are a couple of players in there that would want to run against us. And then that puts our back 4 again in panic stations. If we can play as aggressively and on the front foot as we did in the second half today, then I see us again troubling them, making them panic, giving them more to think about than you know, just passing it to Grealish, you know? So am I confident? You know what, like Danny was saying there, every time that we've had enough as Tottenham fans, every time we're like, you know what, that's it, it's finished, season's over, they draw us back in. And because we all want it as well, you know, they draw us back. They drew us back in against Sheffield United. We're like, oh, yes, it's bottom of the league, but oh, let's go. And then Leeds happens, you know, where they ran at us, where they dominated the attack, where we were panicking left, right, and centre. So let's see what happens Wednesday, man. I'm just hoping they take this good feeling, the good things that they've done in the game today. I want them to carry that on. I want them to build on it. I want them to be smiling this week. I want them to go into the game going, yeah, you know what? Let's show them. Let's give them something to think about. And if that happens, we've got the talent in abundance to win that game and win it well. But we know what this season's been. So I totally hear the fence sitting by Danny there, you know?
Danny, let's come to you. It has been a mad season. I tell you, if you'd have told me half the events this season, I would never have believed you at the start. It's an unbelievable, crazy season. But what a huge week for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club coming up. Aston Villa at home, Leicester City away. How confident are you for these 2 games and Tottenham finally getting that European spot? And of course, the final day of the season, Brendan Rodgers probably parading the FA Cup at Leicester, you know, amongst the fans. Do you think that he will be the next Tottenham Hotspur boss?
Yeah, no chance of him coming to Spurs. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. He's got to be as deluded as us Spurs fans if he's actually going to come to Spurs from winning an FA Cup and getting top 4 with Leicester. If he does that, the only thing that he's going to do that for is money and motivation. And do you really want a manager who would come for money? Because I can only see that's the only reason why he would come to Spurs. I mean, yeah, you could argue that we're a bigger club, but look, Leicester have won a Premier League title and an FA Cup within the last, 6 years, 5 years? And we've won, one trophy in 20 years? So it just says it all. I mean, yeah.
We won the Audi Cup. Hang on, we won the Audi Cup.
That's true. We won the Audi Cup. Yep. We won the Audi Cup.
Massive trophy.
You know what, Danny? I've got to say, that is probably what makes a lot of Tottenham Hotspur fans very sad. And I noticed on social media yesterday, a lot of Spurs fans were very, very angry the way that you saw Leicester City winning that FA Cup and what it meant to them. And you just think that 1991 was the last time we won a trophy. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It hurts so much that the fact that we haven't seen hardly any sort of glory in the last sort of 20 odd years or so, apart from like I said, League Cup and an Audi Cup. I mean, this whoop-de-doo, like well done. You pat yourselves on the back. But we know where that comes from. We know where the mentalities come from. So for me, Brendan Rodgers, if you want to ruin your career, come to Spurs. Because that one thing for sure, Daniel Levy will not back him the way the Leicester owners backed him. And also, they've got an unbelievable recruitment system there. Their recruitment system is top notch. I mean, they've just gone and signed. The reports are they're signing Samari for £19 million. I mean, that is ridiculous. It's just unbelievable. £19 million. That's a budget within Daniel Levy's that's his prime sort of budget restraints. And you wouldn't go for someone like him. But I mean, why would he want to come to Spurs anyway right now? But yeah, besides the point, I do agree with Craig. I think we probably will get, if we beat Villa, if we beat Villa, it's a big if, right? Then potentially I think it will most likely secure top 6. I mean, it all depends as well on the other teams below us and above us, depending on what they do, to be honest. So we'll see how Liverpool ends today. That could be a big help if they do lose or if they draw. But we'll see. So yeah, I'm not going to say, we're going to do it, because I know what Spurs do. And if I do that and they don't do it, I'm going to end up needing a psychiatrist after this, a psychologist, because, I'm going to need some help.
Danny, who realistically do you think Tottenham are going to get in as the next boss?
Do you know, on all the streams that I've been on in the last couple of weeks or months, since Jose's been sacked, I've literally kind of said I honestly couldn't care less who the manager's going to be, because the way that things are going at the moment, unless the things at the top change and the mentality changes, it doesn't really matter. I mean, from the people that they're linking us to, I really do not want Roberto Martinez. I do not want him at all. The best out of a bad bunch, I'd go with Graham Potter, to be honest, if that's who you're going to try and get. I don't want him. I don't want Parker. I really, honestly, but who are we really going to get? Like, realistically, if you look at the names, who are we going to get? We're going to get Zinedine Zidane. I don't really want Zidane. We're going to get Scott Parker to challenge to a team that's just got relegated to take us to a team that wants to compete for top 4. I don't think so. Graham Potter, who's struggled with relegation for the last 2 years and just got Brighton out of it, playing attacking football and not scoring enough goals. I mean, Tottenham are the team that has hit the post more times than any other team in the Premier League. 23 times this season? So you want someone who's someone like Potter, who creates nearly more chances than most teams in the Premier League to a team that hits the post more than anyone else. So it's a great match, that is. I'll tell you that. I honestly really don't care who we get as our manager, and whoever it is, I'm going to obviously back him because I love my club. But yeah, I really don't care, to be honest, right now.
Craig, are you feeling the same?
Well, that I don't care. No, I care massively. Sorry to disagree there, Dan. I care massively. I think it's a massive appointment, probably one of the biggest appointments. But one of the biggest decisions Daniel Levy's going to have to make. Out of all the names mentioned, I must admit, perhaps I'm doing Graham Potter down. Perhaps it's because he's not a fashionable name. I don't know, but he's not somebody that I would want. Out of all the names mentioned, I agree with what Chris said. I think Brendan Rodgers would be a good shout. But you saw him with the owner yesterday. I mean, I made a comment on Michael Bridges' tweet yesterday that I wish our club had an owner like that, where he's on the pitch. I'd love to see I wouldn't love to see Joe Lewis necessarily, but an owner that's that involved and cares that much, Personally, wouldn't be against Marcelo Bielsa over giving him a crack at it, to be honest. If we can't have Poch, he would be my number one. I think Daniel Levy should get on the phone to Poch and say, sorry, Mauricio, I made a terrible mistake. Come back and finish what you started. He'd be my number one. But I think Bielsa, I've got a friend at work who's a Leeds fan. I've known about Bielsa for a couple of years, and he bores me rigid with how Bielsa's philosophy, how he drills the players, how fit his players are. And of course, Bielsa was, or Pochettino was Bielsa's prodigy. And you're not going to take it, don't get me wrong, but Bielsa ain't going to take any crap off anyone, even Daniel Levy. I mean, he walked out of a job after a week or something in Italy, I believe. So he ain't going to take any crap off anyone. Our players would certainly be fit. I think he's attacking. I think his style of play suits the Spurs way, if you like. So for me, he would certainly be in my top three candidates if we can't have Poch back.
I would love Bielsa. I've been saying it for a long time, but I just can't see it happening. I don't know. I just don't think he's the type of person that wants to work with someone like Daniel Levy. And I do say one thing, right? I can guarantee if they speak to Bielsa, there's no doubt he's going to have words with Pochettino about it and see what it's like, see how Daniel Levy is. And if he tells him the truth from what we believe anyway, because I'm sorry, but not backing Poch, the guy who, what he did for us, for me, I can't see him backing anyone properly. I mean, you get a guy who with like hardly any money to spend, takes him to overachieves, takes him to a Champions League final, and then doesn't back him when he says we need to rebuild. And he wanted to follow the Alex Ferguson model and kind of get rid of maybe one or two key players, change it up again properly, get some money in and get some other quality players in. But Daniel Levy wasn't having it because he's too sentimental and he's a control freak. He wants to control every little decision that is made within the club, and that's why Paul Mitchell left the job, because he couldn't work with him anymore. And we need a director of football to run the football side of things, ideally, and then we need someone like a Bielsa in there who can work with him, because I just can't see Bielsa working with Daniel Levy. And I'm sure that he'll have words of Poch if he was offered the job. I mean, I'd love him for the way he is. Just by what I heard about Bielsa's training methods, how he gets the players to there was one, I think, a couple of weeks ago. It was in one of the articles on Football.London saying that he got the Leeds players to go around the training ground and pick up the rubbish because they didn't do something he asked them to do. I mean, that is brilliant. It shows you that, and saying how you have to earn the respect of the fans. You can't expect just that they're gonna respect you just by playing for the club. You've got to earn it. You've got to go out there and play your football how you should be playing and how I tell you to play. And then they'll respect you. And I love his methods, but I just can't see it.
Ricky, anyone that seems to be linked with this job? Julian Nagelsmann is going to Bayern Munich. Eric Ten Hag has signed an extension deal with Ajax. Any Premier League manager that has been asked about this Tottenham Hotspur job has come out and rightly said, well, no, I don't want it. I'm not interested in the job. I'm happy where I am. Graham Potter, Bielsa, Brendan Rodgers, the list is endless. Why does no one want this job? Who is eventually going to take this job, and who do you want to see as the next boss?
I think the biggest problem is what we all know. It's to do with the board and Daniel Levy, unfortunately. The way that he's run the transfers and what he says goes, and it's not getting option A or option B. It's always going for option C, and that's why you've seen performances drop off. That's why you've seen the dip in play from us as a side. There's a lot at Tottenham, though. There is a lot at Tottenham. And if we could fix those problems, if we could get in a director of football like a Campos or someone like that, do you know what I mean? To kind of deal with the transfers, be the middleman between the manager and Levy. And maybe, the boys are saying they're Bielsa, right? I said it on a tweet as soon as Mourinho got sacked, right? I said it on a tweet. And I got it from the Leeds fans, let me tell you, because they don't want to lose their manager.
Of course.
And they were letting me know that the man that Bielsa is, the morals that he kind of believes in, he would never come to Spurs, right?
Yeah.
Also, talking about that kind of picking up the rubbish thing, he done that with the players. He done that for 7 hours, because he said that majority of the people that come to watch the boys play are working, right? They work 7 hours. So you're going to do this for 7 hours to know what they go through every day to come and watch you play. And that was a great way. You know what I mean? That was a great way to kind of put it in the boys' minds, to bring them back down to earth and go, look at a great position that you're in. Yes, I agree that he would be fantastic for us. But again, I agree with Danny that he really wouldn't work with Levy. For me, I know that you just said there, Chris, that Erik Ten Hag has signed the extension. But part of me believes that maybe that the extension has been signed so that if we do go for him, then we have to pay more kind of compensation money. From listening to from watching a couple of videos and listening to Erik Ten Hag, I think he would play the football that we want to play. I think not only transition in offense, but defense. He's got every one of these players working to a philosophy. He knows how to adapt to different teams. He knows how to switch formations, and he wants a fluid football team, which we see that Ajax have. I think with the youngsters as well that we have coming through, not only those that are in the under 23s, under 18s, but those on loan, Sessegnon, Skip, a Parrot. So I think he could work with them as well, and I think he could work on a bit of a budget as well. So for me, I always enjoyed Dutch football. Van der Vaart was one of my favorite players. Edgar Davids, when Edgar Davids turned up, I remember being there for the friendly, his very first game, but the friendly before the season started. And I was like in awe of Edgar Davids, right? So I really enjoyed Dutch football. I would love him to come in and do the job, because he wouldn't just do it for the short term. He would have a long-term philosophy. He would have a long-term plan for what's happening with Tottenham. And I think we need that. If we can't get Poch back, and which I think that, Daniel should go on his hands and knees and beg him and say sorry for all of the rubbish that he put him through. If we can't get him back, then I'll go for someone like Ten Hag, just because of the way in which he's already worked and kind of got great performances out of Ajax. I think he could do the same with us.
Can I add something to that as well?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Ricky, because I watch Ajax weekly because my missus, she's from Amsterdam, she's Dutch. So she's a big football fan. So she's got me into watching them a lot more now, and I've been watching them all season, right? And even this season, they haven't got the star quality they had when they had that Champions League run. But they've got a lot of youngsters coming through. One of them, a guy called Gravenberg. I don't know if you've heard of him. He is just a generational talent. He's unbelievable. And they've got a few. They've got a guy called Per Shares, who's their centre back. He's like a Matthias de Ligt. He's going to be a big player, and the way he plays very, very, very possession based football. And I've been saying this as well. I would love Ten Hag, but for me, again, he needs for Ten Hag to work at Spurs. He needs the way that Ajax run their recruitment policies and the way they do their transfers and stuff. He needs that at Spurs as well. And I don't think that they will bring him in purely because I don't think he'll be able to work with someone like Hitchin and Levy. And I don't think he would want to work with them either, because he would want to work with someone who, like how the setup is at Ajax, because it's an unbelievable setup they've got there. The way they bring through the youth, the way their academy is, their scouting network. They scout a lot of South America for their talent. And I just can't see it. As much as I would love him, again, with him, I can't see it. And that's why I'm so upset about who have we actually got realistically who could actually bring in.
But that's what we need, though. That's where the change.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
We need Hitchin to kind of step aside.
Yep.
We need to bring in a new recruitment team. We need all these things that would come. I would hope that would come with appointing somebody like Ten Hag. So I think all the problems, like even like what Craig was saying, we're not too far away from being a good side again, from being a great side again.
They're not.
So is it realistic though, Ricky? Is it realistic that these major changes would take place in this summer when a new manager is going to come in? Most fans have said that they want a director of football. Most fans have said that they want Daniel Levy to, let the rein loose and actually give, the decisions to the manager, because we don't seem to have a manager. It seems to be a head coach. I remember a couple of years ago, Pochettino sat in that press conference ahead of the Audi Cup, as you mentioned, Craig. Saying, perhaps you should ask the club about my position, my title, because I am the head coach, not the manager. There is a huge difference. Does that need to change? And is it realistic that will happen this summer?
That massively needs to change. That has to change, and it has to happen this summer. The thing is with Daniel, all right. So I remember when he signed Poch, that was a risk in itself. Now at the time, right? At the time, I wasn't really a Poch fan. I fell in love with him, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't really a Poch fan. To be fair, I wanted De Boer. The reason being is that we kept signing Ajax players. Like I said, I really enjoy the way Ajax play and Dutch football in itself. So I thought that would make sense, okay, at the time. But I remember him signing Poch, and for the first time, he said that the management wasn't going to be judged. It was going to be the players, right? And that squad that we had at that time. And it was that season that we got rid of a ton of deadwood, and we brought in a couple of players that Poch actually did want. So, I know he wanted Sonny. Son was on his radar for Southampton, not just for us. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So there was Wanyama. We knew we at first we wanted Schneiderlin, but
he wanted both. He wanted both. He actually wanted both, but Levy, a season after, went and got only one of them. He wanted both of them.
Right, yeah. So, and Wanyama, when he was fully fit, when he had, when his knees were in the right place, he done the role that we wanted him to do. He was a powerhouse at times.
He was a tank. He was.
So these are. I know you're saying it's really unlikely, but if we're talking about change, if we're talking about protests and stuff like that, like these are the things that need to change. We know that Enoch are not going to go nowhere. We all know that Daniel ain't going nowhere. We know that. We know that from the last club statement. We know it. They've let us know. So all this, like the energy that we're trying to get them out, could be switched to trying to make sure that board is, or the transfer, the recruitment board is changed. That Daniel does come away from transfers, and like Craig said, he's done great off the pitch, the stadium, the training ground, kind of even like the sponsorship and bringing it. I know we didn't really want Amazon in at the time, but he brought Amazon in, and we got paid from there, and let him carry on signing Lady Gaga and Guns N' Roses. Let him do that side of it, and step away from the football side of it, because these are the changes that are really going to improve us for next season and the seasons to come.
So can I elaborate on your question, Chris? Right?
Yeah,
so it's a question to all of you guys. So if this was to happen, right? So say for example, right, Daniel Levy, obviously Enoch are not going anywhere, right? So they stay. Steve Hitchens stays, right? And they run the transfers the same way as they have been doing for the last couple of years. Who would you want as your manager right now in terms of realistically who's out there? Who would you want to come into the club right now?
Brendan Rodgers.
But realistically,
I think that is realistic.
Do you honestly think he'll actually come though?
I do, yeah. And
why do you think that,
I'm trying to aim high because Spurs are the 8th richest club in the world, right? We need to start acting like a big club. I saw Ricky's face there, and that's that's the point I was going to go back to. When you go from Mauricio Pochettino, then go to Jose Mourinho, and now we're being linked with the likes of Graham Potter. No disrespect to Graham Potter.
I know. Yeah.
But it's a massive come down. Me as a Spurs fan, I want to be seeing trophies. I want to see Tottenham aiming very, very high and bringing in the best out there. Everybody, and I've been saying this on this channel in the last few weeks, on every single video, none of these managers that are linked with Spurs at the moment seem to inspire me or excite me. Yeah. When a new manager's coming in, you meant to be feeling excited about being a Spurs fan, thinking they're going to take us to the next level. They're going to be delivering trophies. Some of these managers that are being bandied about, no disrespect to any of them. Some of them have done good jobs elsewhere, but I just don't want them at Spurs. No. Perhaps that's being really, I don't know. Perhaps it's being really arrogant. Thinking that we can go out and get the best. Perhaps our level is Graham Potter. I don't know. I just think that this is going to be such a huge, huge summer for the club, in so many terms, because there is so much to do. There really is, on a management level, on a club level, bringing players in, getting rid of players. it's a massive job, and I just think it's probably one of the biggest summers I've known in my Tottenham supporting life. I think it's huge. Craig and Ricky, feel free to answer Danny's question as well.
Craig,
I would say honestly, if you give me a choice of any manager in the world that is realistic rather than who I would have, the number one I would have would be Pep Guardiola, but that's not realistic. Let's face it. So I genuinely think realistically Pochettino is an option. I think he's gettable if Daniel Levy wants him, because PSG are sitting second in the league. You know, if they don't win that league, I don't know. It's kind of like a given that PSG should be winning Ligue 1 or wherever it is you pronounce it. You know, that's kind of a staple, and it's quite possible they're not going to do that. So, and he signed an 18-month contract, don't forget. So his contract's up not this summer, next summer. So I don't know what he was thinking about when he signed that. Perhaps it was just a short-term thing and he's got bigger plans. Who knows? But I genuinely think Pochettino is gettable if you want somebody bad enough. Would he come back? Is it too soon? I don't know. But I'll be willing to get, of all the managers on the planet, I think we owe it to Poch, and I think it's worth a gamble. Well, it's not a gamble, is it? Let's face it, it's not a gamble. But a massive, serious conversation needs to be had, and Levy needs to promise to back him and give him the place he wants. Just to be fair to Steve Hitchin, I'm not entirely sure he does a brilliant job. I'm in the middle of rewatching the documentary, and when he made that statement, I hate it. I think he was referring to the January transfer window, not the transfer windows.
Yeah, no, he was.
So just to be fair to him, he's quite funny when you see the pictures on Twitter and people saying about the transfer window, and he says, "I hate it." That's your job, mate. Hang on, you had one job, sort of thing. He was talking about the January transfer window, so. But that's not to say he's the best one at the job we could get. But let's face it, he has brought in some good players, but not all brilliant.
But
so
Craig, I completely agree with you there, and I just want to add. I think with Steve Hitchin, I do think that the puppet master is pulling the strings. So I think he is restricted in a way. Because Daniel Levy calls the shots, so it's like Hitchin going out saying, "Let's go and get Skriniar." Then, right? You send me over to get him, and he sends him over. But by the way, you've only got 30 million to spend, and Hitchin's sitting there like, "Well, mate, are you serious? Like, honestly?" And he's like twiddling his thumbs, going, "Right, let's try and do something that Daniel Levy wants us to do," and then it never happens because Daniel Levy doesn't want to give him the funds to do it. So, I kind of feel for him a little bit, but he hasn't done the greatest of jobs.
The thing is, though, Danny, whoever comes in, they've got to be able to work with the board. And of course, those conversations are going to have taken place before they take the job. So a manager is going to want to know what is expected of him, what they're expecting of the board. Are they going to be backed? Because when any manager in world football is going to see what's happened to Pochettino getting the sack after taking Spurs to a Champions League final, not spending a penny in 518 days, then bringing Jose Mourinho in, being sacked, 6 days before a cup final, there are going to be alarm bells with, potential managers. So it will be a very, very interesting appointment. Ricky, do you want to answer Danny's question before we move on to the final question?
Okay. So look, it's tough because with Brendan, I just don't see him with all the things. FA Cup, like you said, not just the players that he's got on the field, but the recruitment side of it. They're all, they're all on a good run. They pay for good players, and secondly, the owner himself. He's somebody that is almost trusted, right? So I don't think he's going to leave that setup for us. Yeah. I would love Poch to come back. I think Poch is probably the most realistic within the setup because he's worked within the setup again. The setup has made the mistakes that got him sacked almost. So maybe they could all repair the wounds and move forward with that, and kind of back him even more, like go for the players that he wants rather than the C option. But I think if we end up getting Potter, I reckon he's out of a job by Christmas, and we finish the season with Big Sam. And then what's the point? Do you know what I mean?
Big Sam, oh my God.
And then what's the point? You know?
Yeah.
Then we're all gonna need psychiatrists. So
Yeah.
it's a tough
You know what,
one.
Ricky? If Pochettino come back, what would be different? What would be different this time around? Because surely he would say, "Well, back me this time." You know, how much money is going to be given to spend? Is he going to actually bring the players that he wants in? You know, what's going to be different?
All of that would have to change and be repaired. But you know, as an example, look at David Moyes. All right, so Moyes went to West Ham first time round. He actually had a project. He wanted to build a project at West Ham. End of the season, West Ham wanted to play sexy football, so they brought in Pellegrini. Then they was up, down. You know, there was fan protests at West Ham as well. And then I think it's 2 years after he got sacked, he's got brought back in, and the board have actually kind of gone, you know what? Maybe we was wrong.
Yeah, that's very true.
Let's repair the wounds that we kind of inflicted, and let's move forward and let's see how it goes. And you look at their improved performances this year, it seems like they're a lot more harmonious than they have been in recent seasons. So there is a lot that can change. The thing is that the board already know Poch. They know what he can bring to the table. They know how he can... Look, I've never seen a manager, especially for us, that has loved, that has cried, that has put everything out onto the field, that has celebrated with us fans, and we've felt that he's got the same emotion as us. When we're building up, when we want to cry, when all the emotions in us and we're letting it out, he's letting it out too, you know? And I've never, in my whole time watching Spurs, I've never seen a manager laugh, cry, and be as passionate as he was for us. So we all know that he loves Tottenham. For it, warts and all, he loves us. Yeah, so if he was to come back, and we was to fulfill, it's like any relationship, right? So if we was to come back and say sorry first and foremost, you know, and back him the way in which we never backed him before, you know, there was rumors back then in the 2 seasons that we didn't sign any players, that Pochettino was offered players. He might have been offered players, but he was offered option C and option D. And he decided to go, you know what?
Right.
Let's not spend that money. I'll prefer to bring through a youth player. I'll prefer to bring through somebody else, or I prefer to try and improve what I've got on the pitch instead of spending that money on the option D. Because we got option D, no disrespect to Musa Sissoko, but that 30 million that we spent on Sissoko, everybody was baffled because he played what 6 good games in the Euros or the World Cup that year, you know. So it.
Did you see his first touch today, by the way, Ricky?
To wake up for us.
Oh God.
You know,
Ricky, did you see his first touch today, Rick? Did you see his first touch today? Yeah, it was outstanding. It was an overhit pass to Harry Winks. It was brilliant. Went out for a throw, I think. Something like that.
Was that the one was that the person who did that kind of like karate kick kind of thing? Some guy had his leg really high up and kicked the ball and it just went out for a throw. I don't know if it was him or not.
Today?
We couldn't see. I can't remember. No. Yeah, today.
I don't know. Man.
He was on the right wing and he tried to play a sort of svelte, sort of like, you know, when you skim it and it's a low sort of.
Yeah.
It's almost like a stinger in golf, and he completely overhit it. It was crap.
I love it when he does the Ronaldo Sissoko. If you want to laugh, bloody hell.
God. Just before we move on to the final question of the show, Danny, because it's your first time on, I just want to get your thoughts on: do you think Harry Kane will be a Spurs player at the start of next season?
If I'm honest, I think he will be, because I just can't see. Look, it's hard to say, right? Because Man City have come out and said they're not going to go and spend like they're kind of like wage kind of structure they use for buying players is around the 60 million mark. They haven't ever gone above it. All their players they buy are always around that 60 million mark. So to go and get Harry Kane, to structure a deal that's going to cost you like 150 million, because we know Daniel Levy's not going to sell him for anything less than that this season. I just can't see it happening, because I don't, unless Man United want to stump up that cash. But even then, I think they're going to go for Sancho again this season. I think because Cavani's staying one more year. And I think what will happen is, I think he'll stay one more season, and then if the players or the team's not kind of rebuilt to a certain way in the summer, and they end up having a bad season again, missing out on Champions League again, I think then he's going to probably hand in a transfer request, because the only way he's going to leave, even though he probably wouldn't want to, the only way he's going to leave is by doing something like that. And I think next year he'll have 2 years left on his contract, and Levy's got to then look at it as a business point of view and say, well, if he stays another season, I'm going to lose half what I could get for him if he stays like another 2 seasons from now, basically. So I think he'll stay one more season, but I also think it's not because that he wants to. I think it's because that Levy will hold him prisoner in a sense. I don't think he'll let him go this season. And then Harry Kane is not the type of person to turn around to him and go, yeah, mate, I need to go. I don't want to be at this club anymore, because he loves the club. He wants the club to do it. He wants to win trophies at this club. It's just that the problem is he needs to see that the investment is being made to rebuild this team, and he needs to see that like good players coming in, not like your Sissokos or your Nkudus or your Ng's of this world. I mean, if I see another player like that again, I'm going to rip my hair out, honestly. But yeah, I think he'll stay. I think he'll stay one more year, I think.
Well, let's hope so. Final question for you all. Prediction for the Aston Villa game on Wednesday. Where will Spurs finish in the Premier League at the end of the season? And who will be our manager at the start of next season? I'll go first. I reckon 2-0 on Wednesday. I reckon Tottenham will finish 6th. And I'm sticking with my Brendan Rodgers. Craig, what about you?
I think we'll beat Villa 3-1. I think we'll finish 6th, and which will mean Europa qualification. Manager, I'll tell you what, I'm going to say Mauricio Pochettino. I'm going to say it. I'm going to stick with it. It probably won't be, but
I really hope so.
Let's go for it. I'm hoping, because you've got nearly 50,000 subscribers, Chris. People are going to share the hell out of this. Get the message. Tell Daniel Levy to watch it. Tell him we want Poch back, and want him now. So go and get him.
Can you imagine? The scenes that day? It would be even better. A Hotspur way. You remember Gareth Bale coming back, Pochettino coming back. The scenes would just be awesome.
It'd be like the Messiah's returned.
Oh,
unbelievable.
Can I just say? Can I just make a prediction as well? Another prediction. I don't think I've ever said this on here, Chris. What I think will happen as well, and it's a minor thing. Don't get me wrong. I think Gareth Bale will stay another season. I think we'll sell Eric Lamela back to Roma or somebody like that, and Gareth Bale will take his 11 shirt back, and that will boost shirt sales. Because anybody who bought a Bale shirt with 9 on the back, like my sons, they'll want an 11 Bale. So I think that's what's going to. I think we'll offload Lamela in the summer. That will be a business decision in part by Daniel Levy, because he knows Gareth Bale will want his 11 shirt back. Honestly, I can see it happening, and Poch's coming back. I'll tell you, it's going to happen. And Amazon are going to come in and do a documentary. We're going to win the league next year. We're going to win the Champions League. It's all going to be on Amazon Prime. Come on, you Spurs.
Danny, do you see what happens? After winning the Premier League, everyone gets carried away, don't they?
He's on that Spurs drug. I'm telling you, he's got that Spurs pill. He just had. I need some of that.
Very tongue-in-cheek, but yeah. And Lee McQueen, if you're watching, you've rubbed off on me. I tell you, listening to you.
Danny, let's come to you. Score prediction for Wednesday. Prediction of where we'll finish in the league, and the manager at the start next season.
So I think it's going to be 3-1 again. I'm going to go 3-1. That's what my instant thought was. I think manager next season. Well, I think we'll probably finish 6th. If we can beat Aston Villa, I think we'll finish 6th. Realistic manager candidate, I think, is who it's going to be. I think it's going to be someone like Potter. I honestly think it is, and that's just the sad reality of it. I really would love it to be someone like Poch. But I just can't see anyone else really at the moment. I don't think they're going to go for like an Italian manager or a foreign manager. I think it's going to be someone in England. And if it's not Rodgers, then I think it's going to be Potter.
I'll tell you what, Ricky, I can tell you're an actor with your poker face when he mentioned Potter. Ricky, who do you reckon will come in?
Goodness. Okay, so prediction. I'm going to say 2-0 against Villa. Finishing the league, I'm going to say 2nd.
Second.
No, probably six. And then manager-wise, if we can't get Poch, then I'm going to say Ten Hag, because like I say, if we get Potter, we're going to have Big Sam by the end of the season. So, I'm gonna go Ten Hag and a whole new way of playing. But if not, listen. If we can get Poch, Levy, you want all these protests to stop? You want the fans to calm down? You want us to love the club again? Go get Poch. All right, go get him. Go beg, borrow still. Go make it happen. We've got a good relationship with PSG. We'll give them Serge Aurier for free, and they can give us Poch. That works for me.
Do you know what? Right? Do you know what they should do? They should, if Zidane's leaving Real Madrid, right? Zidane takes charge of PSG. Poch comes back, and we give him Aurier. That'd be the. Yeah. And on top of that, in the contract, Levy says he's going to give him a certain amount of money each year to spend, so he knows he's going to back him, and he makes the decisions on transfer. Yeah, I reckon that will only happen. It will only come back if he's got that in his contract, where he makes the decisions on who comes and goes. I think that would be the decider.
I'll tell you what, we'll give him Matt Doherty as well, and he can go and get Max Aarons and Tarek Lamptey. So you got two new right backs. Yeah,
nice.
Seriously,
nice.
Tarek Lamptey, quality.
Ricky,
he is.
Ricky,
he's
coming
class.
back to you. With so many fans being very unhappy with the state of the club at the moment, that is one way you'd really get a lot of fans back on board, isn't it? Yeah. With Pochettino coming back.
Absolutely. We shared high emotion with that man. And that man not only brought good football to us, but he done what he said he was always going to do, which was return pride to the fans and to the play of Tottenham. He done that. Like, we felt proud to support our club. We felt proud to wear our shirts and our caps and our face masks. We felt proud to wear the cockle on our skin throughout the week, because we gave everybody a challenge. I don't care who we came up against when Poch was managing. I always believed we could give them a game, and I always believed that we could probably win, whether it be Juventus or Real Madrid or, Dortmund or Bayern, whoever it was. I always believed that we could do it, So, if he wants to calm everybody down, and he wants a truly new beginning with a fresh outlook, go get the man Poch, man. Go get him. Make everybody smile again.
A huge smile on your face. Every time we mention Pochettino's name.
Telling you,
love it.
Telling you. Do you know what? Every time we have a pod, I always mention Poch.
So do I.
For one reason or another, I always mention him because
we're also attached. Yeah, and because we knew that he didn't get the chance that he got to rebuild this team, and I think. Do you know what? I honestly believe Daniel Levy had some sort of fixation, like he was, how Heron had it is like itching for more. Right? He was itching to sack someone. He's like, he hadn't sacked someone in 5 years. He's like, I need to sack someone. And he was like, he just pulled the trigger, and because he missed it. And honestly, I just feel he did it on a whim. Like he didn't think it through properly.
Well, it's even
Danny,
everyone speaks about Poch not winning anything and stuff like that. But you look at that Champions League final, okay? I truly believe if we did not sell Dembele for 10, 11 million that January, 10, 11 million, it wasn't like it was 25, 30, 40s. 10, 11 million. If we would have kept Dembele, and even though he was breaking down, and we kept him just for the Champions League and big Premiership games, I think we would have had a better chance in that final than we did.
100%. I mean, imagine Dembele with who started the final? Was it Winks and Sissoko? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Imagine if it was Dembele and Sissoko. Like, I would have rather Dembele than. If he was in that final, I think it would have been a different final as well. I agree with you.
Imagine here's one for you. Imagine Dembele and Hojbjerg in that final.
Come on.
If we'd had him.
Yeah.
Just before we go, Danny,
the legs and the energy that would have kind of allowed Dembele to kind of do what he done best.
Yep.
That would have been a perfect scenario.
Yep. For sure.
Just before I go, Danny, tell everyone about your YouTube channel. It's in progress at the moment, isn't it? But you'll be starting up soon.
Yeah, so we've got a YouTube channel coming. It's going to be called In the Box. The Twitter handle is below here, which is inthebox_TV. Basically, we're going to have like a debate channel. It's going to be mainly debates. And it's going to be covering like Premier League teams, because I've basically got a lot of delusional fans, friends who are delusional fans as well, like we are. So if you want to watch delusional fans basically chat shit to each other, then yeah, obviously you'll love to come and have a listen to us. Yeah, we are going to have a dedicated Spurs show twice a week, because there's quite a few of the Spurs fans who are going to be involved. So definitely get, if any of you guys are interested when we do get it up and running, feel free, just message me on Twitter and we can get you on there as well. I'd love to have you on there, all of you. So yeah, just follow me on Twitter for more information, and it'll be coming out soon.
Brilliant. Good luck with that, Danny. And thanks so much for coming on today.
No, thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. What a great show it's been, honestly. And I just want to say to everyone watching, if everyone who hasn't subscribed, they need to subscribe to this channel right now. I need to smash that like. I see 352 people watching this. I want to see 352 likes. So everyone need to get, and do you know what, everyone? It is free, completely free. So please help support this channel so much, because it's a great channel and it helps Chris deliver more content like this. So please smash that like and hit that subscribe.
You just got to tell everyone I didn't pay you to say that either.
And he didn't pay me to say that. He did not.
Thanks, Danny. It's been great having you on. Craig, thank you very much as always.
Thanks, Chris. I've just got to tell you a very quick story. For his birthday, my son got a replica of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and it's not a Lego one. It's one of those ones, you snap out the bits and then you push it all together, and it's like a picture. Chris, you'd love this. We was doing the roof bit and around the side, and I was telling him, "You got part 47, and he was saying about the panels." And he went, "Oh, Chris always talked about panels." It was brilliant. So you've had a positive impact on Ben, my son. So it was really fun. It made me laugh, and the stadium looks fantastic in his bedroom. So it's really good. But thanks again for having me on, Chris. It was really good fun, and thanks Ricky and Danny as well.
Do you know, Craig, the funniest thing is, so many people come up to me at the Spurs Stadium and they instantly just say the word panel, even before they say my name, which I'll never get away from it, sadly. Ricky, thanks so much for joining us again.
Thank you, mate. It was great to be here on a win and a good performance. Let's keep it going, my friend. Let's keep it going. And I know the panel is a buzzword, but I think this year, 2021-2022 season is going to be another one for you, Chris, because I love that, man. I love it when you're like 2021, 2022. It cracks me up, bruv. Cracks me up, man. So it's great to have with you all, boys. Thank you very much, man.
Yeah, well, let's hope that Tottenham can do the business and we get that European spot for next season. Let's hope that Brendan Rodgers or another very decent manager is appointed this summer. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Thanks for all of your comments. Thanks so much to Craig, Ricky, and Danny. Really appreciate your input today. It's been absolutely fantastic. And we're all smiling after a Tottenham Hotspur win. And come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.